One of the greatest threats would be radioactive fallout.
Uranium fever.
Where fallout is heaviest, it can even kill those who have not taken proper shelter.
Broadcasting deep underground in a questionably constructed survivalist bunker is Dave CHAFINZ and KENNETH VIGUE, and your host, as always, Mr. Robots. This episode of the Fallout Hub is brought to you by the Massachusetts Institute of Technology. Open enrollment for advanced robotics courses starts now. Totally nothing sketchy going on. Nope, not at all.
All right, Fallout fam, welcome back to the Fallout Hub. This is this week's episode. We are live on Twitch at twitch.tv/the Fallout Hub. And it is a very special day because it is that day where we as Americans get to decide who our new political and corporate overlords are that will be exploiting the populace. So go out there, make sure your vote is heard, and you get to choose one or two flavors. So, pick them carefully. And welcome back to the show. With me, as always, I'm your host, Tom Robots, by the way. And with me, as always, I have our co-host, Dave CHAFINZ. Welcome, Dave.
Hello. I think let me get a tiny soapbox for a tiny segment in which I say the best Bond villain is Oddjob because of the top hat. And when he throws the top hat in GoldenEye and you kill the people, that's kind of cool.
Chat is going to have no context for what we're talking about now.
I know.
No context.
Before we started, we were talking about Bond villains. Classic Bond villains.
They don't need context. They just need to know that Oddjob is by far the best Bond villain.
That's all they need to know. That's all they need. And we also have Ken. Ken, welcome to the show.
Hey.
It's for horses.
It was your birthday. How was your birthday?
It was absolutely amazing. That was just about the best birthday I have ever had.
Yeah, you guys should go look at the Chad Fallout 76 Twitch channel when you can see Ken enjoying his birthday celebration.
Everyone went to Ken's house and gave him a big old noogie.
I think that's what they wanted to do. There was discussion about kidnapping me apparently in the super secret server.
Yeah, there was. Yeah.
So welcome back. We are here with it's not just the three of us. This week we have a very special guest, Mangaclub. Mangaclub, welcome to the show, all the way from Germany, who isn't, involved with our elections today, but welcome. We brought you in as a external perspective on the American culture, and we will be talking about politics this entire. No, we will not be talking about politics this entire episode. We will be talking about all the awesome stuff that Mangaclub does. So, Mangaclub, how would people know you in the Fallout community?
Yeah. Okay. Actually, I think mostly because of the mod Vivid Weathers, which is the most downloaded mod I have.
Yeah,
And
Vivid
more
Weathers.
recently,
I know I've downloaded that probably 3 or 4 times
Is
myself.
that for Fallout 4 or New Vegas?
it's for Skyrim and Fallout 4. Yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah. I've downloaded the number of times I have to re-download Skyrim, and then I have like a mod load order, and then it's like there's always mods that I add, and Vivid Weathers is actually one of those that I have.
It's one of the regular ones. Yeah, it's one of the ones that I like. That's one of the first things I do when I mod a game is I'm like, I'm going to make this look even cooler. Vivid Weathers,
Awesome.
yes, please. Download. Yeah, so I'm absolutely stoked to get into discussing modding and your experiences and with Fallout and all of that stuff. But before we do that, we have this regular Robots Dozen questions that we start out the show with, and we ask you in order to kind of warm up the conversation. So these are quick fire questions. Don't think too hard. Just answer whatever the first answer is that comes to your mind. Ready? You ready for this?
All right.
All right. So here we go. Question number 1. What is the best Fallout location?
Sanctuary Hills.
Sanctuary Hills. Very nice. That's a very, very good location. I built my my camp there, my little community. So question number 2: what is the worst Fallout location?
The glowing sea.
Glowing sea. All right. All right. That makes sense. Yeah, you'd probably die very quickly of radiation there. So similarly, as somebody external to the U.S., what is the best U.S. state? Question number 3.
Best U.S. state.
Yeah.
I'd say Kansas.
Kansas. Very nice. Do you have a reason for Kansas?
Yeah, my girlfriend lives there.
Oh,
nice.
okay.
That's a
okay.
good
So it
reason.
wasn't just like Wendy, or who is it? The Wizard of
Rudy.
Oz.
Nope.
No,
Nope.
Rudy. I was thinking Wizard of Oz. You were thinking Rudy, the football
Well,
movie?
I thought no. I thought that was the name of the girl, but that's not the name of the dog. But what I imagine the name of the dog would be. Dorothy.
Dorothy,
and
not
Toto.
Wendy. Toto. That's it. Awesome. Okay. Question number 4. What is the worst U.S. state?
Texas.
Texas.
Sorry, it's hot and people have too many weapons and eat spicy food. That's not a good combination.
I love that. That's a good justification. All right. Question number 5. Who from Fallout would you vote to be the president of your country?
What was the name of that ghoul that I forgot his name.
From Fallout 4, Hancock?
Hancock?
Yeah, Hancock, right.
Hancock. Yeah, he'd be pretty badass. He'd be a pretty badass leader.
He'd be a fun president
of a country. Yeah.
Massive amounts of crime.
Yeah.
Chems legal. All chems legal. Yeah.
Sorry, I'm joking. No, actually, no, I have no preference on that because in Germany it's so different. Our president has absolutely nothing to say here. So no matter what I would vote for president, wouldn't make any.
It's not going to make a difference.
No.
Gotcha. All right. Number 6. Do you chew gum? No. Interesting. Number 7. What's the best way to get your own set of power armor?
No, I go up that Concord building and have it.
You just go get it. Just go get it from the location.
The thing is, I never play with power armor. I really not fond of that stuff.
Me either.
It's way overpowered for that game.
Or Charles, you love
trying to avoid it.
You love power armor.
Yeah, I'm not a big power armor guy either. I mean, I like the way it looks, but I'd rather play without it.
I played in 76, but at 4 I can't bring myself to it.
All right. So question number 8, speaking of Texas, if a cowboy aimed at your feet and said, "Dance," what dance would you do?
Oh, the Schuhplattler. It's an old German dance.
Wow.
with spoons and stuff like that. Why not impress him when I'm right?
How do you spell that? Schuhplattler? I need to look this up. S-H... Schuhplattler?
We need to see what that looks like right now.
I write it in Twitch.
Yeah. Put it in Twitch chat, and we'll look it up. That sounds awesome.
Is a Bavarian word. I have no idea.
I love that.
Schuhplattler. Okay. Yeah. Schuhplatter. So in English, it would be Schuhplatter. Yeah. This looks awesome. Yeah. Oh man. Okay. I'm gonna be watching those videos later. All right. Number 9. What is love? Baby, don't hurt me.
You answered it already. Sorry.
Okay. Number 10. So you are now an insult bot. Deliver an insult to Dave. Excuse me, to Dave.
Oh boy.
Okay. Who of you is Dave again? Top right, bottom left.
Top right.
It's me. In the blue hoodie.
Okay. Your mustache is quite famous on every gay bar.
Wow.
That's a good insult, but I like that insult. That's a good
I like that insult. Yep. All right. Same thing, but for Ken.
Has to be
I like your shoes.
Just I like your shoes.
How dare you?
Yeah, that's a deep one because it's like that's an insult.
I like your shoes. I would follow that up with I like your
practical insult because I cannot see him right now. I cannot see his shoes, but it would be an insult that way.
I like your shoes, and I have really bad taste in shoes. That's how I would do it. All right,
Hashtag
and then
shoes.
question number 12, final question. Now you have to insult me. Insult bot.
Oh boy.
Okay. Okay. Yes. There's a nice German word for you. I teach that recently to my girlfriend. It's called Kackbratze. It's
Okay.
a nice insult, and you cannot translate it, but it's quite a bad word.
It sounds like cock blocker.
Yeah, it does sound
honored.
Here, I'm going to look up a translation for this.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
Okay, so the closest translation, according to Google, is poop.
Yeah,
But it seems like you're worse than that.
It seems like it's worse than poop, right?
Maybe poop bread. Poop bread. Maybe something like that. Yes.
Oh wow.
Okay.
But
Yeah,
way worse.
So you've proven to me that we need a German insult bot in the game. Also, that would be amazing. Yeah. All right. Yeah, I'm going to be looking these things up on Google. So this was also your GOAT test. So I'm going to put the answers into the computer here, and I'm pulling up a. All right. Here's the solution. This is what you are going to be for a career for the rest of your life. You will be a daytime soap opera star. Congratulations.
Well, nothing changed then. All right.
All right. Very good. Very, very cool. Well, you survived our goats, and good luck with your soap opera daytime television career. And we'll all be tuning into those episodes. And again, welcome to the show. Thanks for joining us. Can you start us out and tell us a little bit how you got into playing Fallout? Like, where did you start?
I actually played Fallout 3 when I was a youngster. Yeah, I got that quite legally, officially. I get that quite legally as a copy from my brother, and I could not stop playing it. And then got Fallout New Vegas, and one came to another with Fallout. Yeah.
Cool.
Game.
So being that and I love asking questions around this, especially when we interview people from other countries and other cultures. Being that Fallout, the setting is very American, and in games like Fallout 3 is in the capital wastes, and Fallout 4 you have like Boston and a lot of this colonial stuff, very American history type stuff. What is your perspective on that as somebody from outside the US? How do you is it appealing? Is it interesting? Do you get some of the references? I'm sure you get some of them, but what is that like for you?
Oh yeah, well, actually, we grow up with American movies all the time, so we know a lot of that buildings and references that's in there. If you don't know, if you visit Germany in wintertime on Xmas time, you can always see on almost every channel. Major channel is Kevin Home Alone. It's one of the major stuff going on Xmas, especially in Germany, and wow, that's actually no real problem for me.
Cool. So do you like American culture? I mean, just because you're exposed to it, do you have like is it appealing to you to see things in games about America?
Well, it's familiar because American culture is Western culture. That's the first thing, and mostly all of that stuff was copied from Europe, so it comes back and comes around.
I mean, you're not wrong. Our national anthem is "God Save the Queen."
Yeah, and you're from Germany, like
you think that's not American, or
yeah, I mean, early American settlers, German settlers were some of the most populous in the country in the 1800s. I mean, there was a lot of German settlement. There's a lot of cultural mixing, especially from different places in Europe, for sure.
Yes, indeed.
So when you got into Fallout pretty early, played Fallout 3, Fallout 4, Fallout New Vegas. When did you get into modding? When was that? When did that become a thing?
Oh, it was in Skyrim. No, that was in Skyrim actually when I started modding. And it did not start at Fallout back in the days.
So you started with Skyrim?
Yeah, because I was quite unhappy about Skyrim. about the visuals, especially the visuals. Visuals are really pulling some triggers on me. All that green coloring and Skyrim, I had to change that. So that was basically my first thing I did, was creating an EMB, and I did that for quite a while, and it's tweaked around with all that stuff.
So an
There are
EMB
really
being
different-
a visual changer, a way to
Yeah.
adjust the coloring and the saturation and some of the graphics in the game.
Exactly, yes, and much more. Oh, it expanded quite nicely the last.
How did
How long is it going? Wow.
do you have a background in coding or programming? Have you ever done any of that before?
Not really. No, I was more the graphical guy. Yeah.
Interesting. So to get started, did you look up tutorials on these things, or did you have somebody who was helping you learn how to tweak stuff, or did you just like open up some programs and figure them out?
Yeah, no, YouTube was my friend back in the days, and it still is about tutorials. So you maybe watch 10 YouTube tutorials and understand 1% of it, and you start. And
Right.
most of it is testing around and how things work out. Yeah, actually learning that way is much easier, testing around and see what breaks. Yeah, I'm fiddling with code a lot. On ENB, well, I'm not a coder, but fiddling with the ENB code was quite easy for me. So I could create a Vividian ENB back in the days. That's how I started, and I got a lot of supporters helping me with that on the way around.
Nice. Yeah, it's interesting how much you can, if you spend the time, you can kind of, once you have a basic foundation of knowledge, you can get in there and start to tweak things and start to understand how more and more parts of the puzzle work especially when it comes to technology. As long as you're a smart enough person to do that, you can easily move forward given enough time and trial and error. I feel like that's just kind of the place we are in the world. In fact, I feel like that's an educational thing, is that we should be teaching children more about how to actually figure things out on their own and less about what to memorize.
Yeah, that's true.
So yeah, that's really cool. So how long ago was this that you got started with modding?
Hoi. Well, I guess that's, oh God. Do you really want me to feel that old? Yes.
Well, I mean, I don't know. I'm probably the oldest one here. I don't know that you're going to beat me on that.
If you say so, I'm taking you for that. No, it was maybe a year after Skyrim, the old Skyrim released.
Right.
Yeah, maybe a
Right.
year after that, a maximum. So 2007, something like that. I would say something.
Okay. Yes. No, it's been a while. So
Yes.
what other mod projects have you done? Like, which ones are you most proud of?
Actually, most proud of is Vivid Weathers and right now Whispering Hills, because I put a lot of work in those.
Mhm.
Quite in those.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. So let's get into Whispering Hills. This is your big new project.
Yes, indeed, it is.
Now, what is
Evil
the
experiment.
your evil experiment? Yeah. So for the people who don't know, what is the concept here? What is it that what are you building? What is Whispering Hills?
Well, basically, it's a Silent. Well, it started as a Silent Hill overhaul for Fallout because it fits way too good into that dimension.
It really does.
And now it's a horror overhaul. I would call it a horror overhaul because it drifts a little bit off from Silent Hill monsters and stuff, and goes more into a general horror vibe. But
Mm-hmm.
That's how it started. Silent Hill.
And when did you start working on this project?
It was 2 years ago already. I just
Oh, wow.
added. I just added fog. I just added fog because I wanted to be in Silent Hill. I need to go a bit back on that history of that because I was like, when came Silent Hill out? 1996, 1997, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And I was one of the first ones in Germany playing that on my PlayStation 1, and I finished it like 25 times, the first one.
Oh, wow.
It was crazy. I was really addicted to that game. And I found it later on a small team of coders, graphics, and artists to make our own little Silent Hill game. I was still in school back in the days, and so it was more like a hobby project. We came quite far with it, but well, we was in school and work came, and no one really had time, so that project crumbled. So it was something I always wanted to do, but never really was able to do till I got the right tools for that. And this is Fallout 4 right now with the modding tools, and Whispering Hills is a result of that so far.
Very, very, very cool. Did you? There was something you were going to say. Do you want to?
Oh yeah, the way I found out about Whispering Hills was maybe I think it was in February or something, back before the world wasn't scary enough. I had found somebody sent me a video of like I think it's my buddy Austin sent me a video that was like, look at this like crazy thing in Fallout 4 somebody had made, and it was like you're walking around this fog covered environment and there were trees everywhere, and then you heard this like weird like radio signal, I guess. That's what I thought at the time. And then it was like, okay, you see this like monster lurking kind of through the thing, but then as you get closer you realize that the monster's really big and it's got this like crazy frame and this like weird head, and a bunch of people were calling it a Siren Head, which is based off of like a creepypasta that somebody had put online. And then pretty much the day after he sent me that, I think the video or some video of the mod blew up, and then everybody was posting it, everybody was sharing it, and it was like, from my perspective, it was one of the reasons that Siren Head as like a creepypasta has kind of like exploded into not beyond the bot itself into even games. I think there's like stuff in Dreams, which is a Sony game that is a lot about like content creation and art, and so that's where I guess I had first seen Whispering Hills, but then to learn that it has all of these like Silent Hill inspirations, which is one of my favorite horror series as well, is really interesting and really cool. And I mean, you've done, it's not just like one or two enemies, you've done a bunch of enemies with animations with their own kind of like logic behind that. What leads you to making a good monster, I guess?
What leads me there? It needs to be creeping you out just by hearing it. That's the first thing. You don't need to see it, you need to hear it. That's important. You need to know that something is there and you cannot see it. And when you see it, then it needs to be same as creepy, like not monster. Silent Hill has that own monster vibe. That's hard to describe. It's some, I don't know, it's Silent Hill style. And when you see it, you're really creeped out of that because it's unreal. And yeah, I'm looking for something like that always, to such a vibe.
Where do you
Describe it.
Where do you find your inspirations for some of those creations?
Silent Hill, obviously. It's the first place, of course, to look. The way they milked Silent Hill over the time is sad and amazing, but you have so many inspirations, so many drawings that you can actually look at from the developers. And I have a quite talented 3D artist beside me who creates those monsters for me. So we're on a good side having more of them.
That's awesome.
So I have a question. So from the mod perspective, if I was to load up the mod right now, what does the mod actually feature? Like, what is it? What does it do? Does it just change the world a little bit? Is there a storyline? Are there new monsters running around? Does it change the mood of this places I've already been? Are there new places to go? Like, what is the full extent of the mod?
I would say the first thing you will see is the fog. That's the first thing everyone sees, because you cannot see like 10 feet in front of you sometimes. But yeah, the main thing is, of course, the monsters, the atmosphere. I try to get a lot of atmosphere with music and background music, which I need to press because a lot of people disabled that by default because they cannot stand the default background music of Fallout, but forgot to switch it back on, and they miss a lot of atmosphere. And of course, the monsters that hound you down. once in a while will make you try to crawl into a dark space and not come out again. Once, yeah, we have your own hell dimension now. I created my own level for all of that where you can
Oh
go
wow.
into.
Wow. So does it replace all of the regular Fallout monsters with the new monsters, or are there still Fallout monsters in it?
Oh, there's still Fallout monsters. At the moment, I'm just replacing the ghouls, the feral ghouls especially.
Gotcha.
Because they're so ugly. They don't. I don't know. I thought Bethesda did not a really good job at that. So
Interesting.
I did.
Interesting. Now you mentioned on your the old project you had doing a Silent Hill project with some other people that you were working with a group. Is this something you're working on for this mod all by yourself, or do you have a team?
Well, I started to work on myself. Now I have a guy making at least some 3D objects for me, so I don't need to buy objects anymore, or not that often anymore. I still buy a few 3D objects from other 3D developers and 3D artists, but the rest I'm doing myself. Yes.
That's
wow! So it's you and a 3D modeler basically.
Yeah.
Wow. That's really cool. So, what other influences are you drawing from with this? Are you generally a fan? I mean, you fell in love with Silent Hill in the 90s. Are you a horror movie fan? Do you playing a lot of horror games?
Yes, of course. Oh yeah, horror. Oh, yeah. Well, once you are getting addicted to Silent Hill, and you start to feel at home at this Silent Hill city, quite tough to find something similar to make you scared again. So yeah, I'm constantly looking for stuff that makes me spooked and scared. It's hard to find, really hard to find. I think the last time I really got scared was with Dead Space. That had a really good vibe. That was really scary. But
the Silent Hill siren is so iconic.
Yes.
That siren just before the world kind of fades out with that kind of bassy thum. And I picture you playing Silent Hill's Reprise just on a loop. That's a fantastic theme song.
Oh yeah, there's something called Silent Chill on YouTube, which includes like 3 hours of music of Silent Hill, just a bit more the chilly ones. So that's something that I'm listening quite often to, actually. I stopped listening to it since I do live streams and YouTube had that odd thing of copyright claims. So, all right.
Yeah. That's a bummer. So
what
go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah. What about? I'm curious, just because I know you, like, obviously you're such a big fan of Silent Hill, like, in terms of movies, and there's a Silent Hill movie that Silent Hill movie is set in West Virginia, by the way. I have to know all of the little facts about West Virginia. But as far as like horror movies, what draws you to it? What makes a good horror movie, and what are some that you enjoy?
Good horror movies are movies that don't go right into your face about the action and the horror. It is something where you have to guess what's happening, where the horror actually happens in the background. I think Blair Witch is a good example for that. You never really see what's going on. You never really see the monster, but something is there. That for me is a good horror movie, because the fear of the unknown is actually what makes Silent Hill and the other horror movies that good.
Yeah, I feel like you're right. Your imagination is almost always more scary than actually seeing the monster.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you like the Silent? Oh, go ahead.
I was just saying, once you see the monster, for me, it kind of, once it's like named or you actually see it, it kind of ruins it. The only like good monster that is still pretty scary, in my opinion, is Alien. Like Alien itself is pretty scary, regardless of seeing it or not.
Well, because it's like an alpha predator. I mean, it's horrific looking, but it's like being hunted by a space tiger or something. Like it's just gonna get you if you're in a confined space. There's not much you can do about it. Yeah,
no, it's just terrifying.
Yeah,
indeed.
Yeah, Yeah, it's always better when it doesn't quite reveal itself or you can't see the whole thing. Like Jeepers Creepers started out really good, and then the movie takes that weird turn when you actually see what the full creature is, and it loses that fear factor. But did you like the Silent Hill movie?
As a diehard fan, I like everything that's evolved around Silent Hill. So yeah, the movies I really loved. Okay, many people were not that fond of them because they changed stuff, but I just enjoyed the vibe of that, and that was important for me.
The bathroom scene.
Yes, exactly.
When she transitions, the guy comes out of the
Indeed.
No.
The only thing I remember about the Silent Hill movie is that Sean Bean is in it, and so
that's all that matters.
That's all that mattered. And it was set in West Virginia, but it's weird. Set in West Virginia, filmed in Pennsylvania. I have no clue why. Figured they could go the extra distance, maybe make up that location change.
I can tell you why. Because that city of the movie was inspired by a town called Centralia,
yes,
which is in Pennsylvania.
Yeah. Yep.
And just to give away a little bit,
the massive mining thing.
Exactly.
Where they had the mining disaster that had all of the coal on fire, and then it created all of the, like, at first it was just like gas coming up, and it was like everyone across the town had gas leaks, and then like there was like
everyone across the town had gas,
and then like fire was coming up from the ground and
out of their butts.
Like, the bean incident.
Happening?
Yeah, it's the town dump is where it started. They were burning trash at the town dump, and it caught into a coal seam, and then just burned down. And I think it's still burning.
That's amazing.
Decades later,
it is. Everybody out.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, that's what in Fallout 76. That's what the ash heap is based off of. The disaster and like the topography is like, okay, what about that? But more. Like,
right.
Just like Toxic Valley is like, okay, what if a chemical spill, but more?
Because Fallout, right?
Right.
Manga, have you played much 76?
Well, I bought 76 very early. I uninstalled 76 very early. I reinstalled 76 a year later. I played it a little, of course. I've played it a little. There was a promise to make mods possible. I installed it again, and yeah, sadly, it's the way it is right now. As long as real modding is not that possible without getting bans or like tools for it. Well, my life is modding now. That's the problem with being a modder. You stop playing games.
Yeah, that's your new game. It's just making mods.
Right.
Yeah, it sadly is. You wouldn't believe me when I tell you I never finished Skyrim. I was like in the middle of Skyrim playing it. And then suddenly I got into modding and I never finished it. Till today. Yeah, even the same with Fallout 4. I never finished that game. Can you believe that?
I totally get it.
Well, it's a curse.
I totally get it. As a podcaster, it's kind of the same thing. I mean, as a content creator, you spend your time playing the game, but every time you jump into the game for another hour, that's another hour you could be using to make more content. And both things are enjoyable. So it's kind of a toss-up sometimes between like, well, do I play the game some more, or do I make more content around the game, or do I plan for the next thing I'm going to make? I totally get it. That's just how that goes. You only have so much time.
Yeah,
and I think a lot of players don't, like, a lot of, like, I guess, casual people that are just accessing the game don't really get a sense of how far, like, people see, like, okay, Fallout as a brand, and so, like, people see Vault Boy memes, and there's more of this, like, casual greater audience. There's more of a hardcore audience that's big into the games and getting the characters and like figuring out ways to kind of go into and manipulate their character to be the best, or changing some of the variables to be as realistic as possible. But there's this whole modding community that comes along with Bethesda games that is its own thing. It's connected, but I don't think that a lot of other games get that level of community with just releasing a new title in a mainline series.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
And it's nice also that even under Microsoft, that's going to continue. In an interview that they did last week, Todd Howard was talking about how unique the modding community and mods are in general as an asset to the brands that come with ZeniMax, Bethesda Game Studios going into the Microsoft purchase. So it's nice to know that that's going to continue.
And like their games, like Morrowind, for example, like you can mod that and play, like you can play it on a Mac. They've made it so open source that it's like I could put it on an Android phone. Like the level of capability that you can have with these games is insane.
Oh, very much, very much so. So here, I have a question. Let's get back to the Whispering Hills. Do you have a like a roadmap? Do you have a plan for where you're going with this? Like, at what point do you feel like it will be complete, or will this be something you just continue to tinker with until all of a sudden you get some other idea and then move on to something else?
I have a roadmap. Actually, it's quite real that it's called a roadmap. So, we talked about the town Centralia, and I got inspired by that. So I thought, all right, what would happen if someone actually rebuilt the town of Centralia into Fallout 4? And that's what I'm working on right now.
Oh, cool.
Oh, cool.
So
That's really cool.
I tinkered around with laser scanning 3D data to get at least a ground map from Centralia nowadays.
Wow.
In the game, and placed the streets so far and houses so far. It will be part of Whispering Hills as its own Whispering Hills town. I won't call it Centralia, but it will be the Centralia maybe of the 80s or 70s.
Oh, nice. How much space is that? How big is the town?
I haven't counted really the space. One second, but it was, let me guess, it was 1 square meter. 2.2. Yeah, okay. I don't do imperial numbers here.
That's fine. Kilometers will work, or whatever.
3, 4, 4 by. Well, I have a 4 by 4 square kilometer.
That's pretty big.
That is big. Yeah.
That's a fairly sizable area. Wow. How many houses? And I know you don't need to give me an exact number, but you're building buildings and probably hills and trees and how many buildings are you expecting to put into this area?
Sure, about 300 to 300, 450, something like that.
That's amazing.
That's amazing. I have an old screenshot of the aerial photo, so I can count the old houses there, and it needs to not be 100% exact. So
sure, but you're talking a few hundred buildings. Are some of them going to be open? Like in any Fallout game, some of the buildings you can't go in, but some of them you can. Is it going to be like some of the buildings you can get through? Some of the buildings will have monsters inside them that come out and get you, or you want to explore and you look through the third floor of the building to try and see what's in there, and all of a sudden something comes out of the closet, that kind of thing.
Yeah, of course, I will have some open houses. The thing is, Bethesda built the open houses by themselves, like a Lego type. They put that all together right into the map. They had no prefabs for that, so I need to steal most of the stuff from the Commonwealth, so I don't need to build it myself. And
right.
That should be quite easy, actually. Saving a bit of time because it's already there. Yeah. So
right, because Centralia isn't exactly a modern architecture marvel. Just from like the buildings themselves, I'd imagine
pretty simple structures.
It's the town as it exists now, or whenever you got those aerial photographs, is pretty. It's not like it's interesting to hear you talk about something at like something small to large scale, whereas a lot of other mods are like we had what's his name, the guy that did Empire Waste that was on here a while back.
Oh,
Adeo de Souza.
That's right. Where his is like, I need to take New York and shrink it down into it's like I gotta fit a lot in here where it seems like the taking a smaller town like Centralia or something, as an inspiration, and then saying, okay, I want to make this atmospheric. That's that seems like that's what you're passionate about, and so I think that's really interesting from a standpoint of content, because I feel like that's a more that's like to me seems like extremely achievable, I guess.
Here's an idea for you: a unique monster, Pyramid Preston.
Ooh, that's two evils combined. No,
And speaking of using the sounds to creep people out, in the distance you can hear whispering, "Another gentleman needs your help. Another gentleman." Yeah, there you go.
that needs to be in German. That it's pure evil.
There you go.
In German, that would be terrifying.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you're from Germany. Wait. Is the German language more scary to you than English?
I can't tell you what Preston says in German.
Because German, to an English speaker, and English has German roots, right? But it also has some French and Latin roots as well.
Yeah.
And it's a softer sounding language than German. German's a little bit more harsh, right? So to an English ear, German sounds harsher, right? So if you don't, especially if you don't speak it and you don't understand what's actually being said, and it's done in a sinister voice, then I can see that would be very frightening. But to a German speaker, does it sound? Is the impression still the same, or is it just scarier because you can actually tell what he's saying? How does that work?
I guess it's a cliche about German language. I can show you an example of German language of the exact same line Preston says, because it burned in my ears.
Okay.
And 1 second, that was.
Oh, fuck no.
Nope. See, it's wonderful, beautiful German.
Uh-huh. Nice.
Wow.
Are you still shocked?
Well, that's all the time we have.
Yeah.
My furniture is floating.
Right.
Yeah, I think he casted some sort of spell into Ken's house.
That is a cliche, though. Like you hear the song "Du hast" and it sounds all angry. It's actually a recipe for banana bread.
Yeah, well, I find this topic very interesting because I've actually researched it a little bit. It turns out that depending on what your own language is, different languages feel different to different speakers of other languages. So, for example, like I was saying, German to English speakers sounds harsh, and so therefore has a certain feeling. But if I wasn't a native English speaker, if I was a native speaker of something else, I may have a very completely different impression of what German sounds like to me when I don't speak it. So it's all very relative to the language that you speak. And so, like to some people, like to Americans, Russian sounds very ominous and kind of angry, but to certain other speakers of other languages, it actually sounds silly or something, like it just depends. And I find that fascinating. I love that that's a difference, in the way that we process language in our brains, depending on where you come from and what you speak. Yeah, I think that's really cool.
Yeah, if you really want a silly language, listen to Finnish people.
Finnish people, yes. Yeah, I think we all can agree on that one. That's the one universally silly language.
Yeah.
Did you guys see what was it? The song Yaya Ding Dong and the oh crap! It was the movie. It was the movie about the Iceland singing duo that goes to Eurovision. Yeah, did you guys see Eurovision? Have you seen Eurovision? It's ridiculous. It is very funny. But yeah, speaking of like different foreign languages and like all the different European people coming together and all the stereotypes, very, very silly. And they're from Iceland, so that's also there's elves, I guess, in Iceland. Anyway, do you guys have any other questions?
So as far as Whispering Hills, what has been some of the, I guess, more interesting feedback that you've gotten? Has there been like a particular thing that you've added that's gotten a lot of reaction? I know from my perspective, Siren Head has, but what have you noticed?
I have noticed that many people don't like the fog. They say, "Oh, can you just release that mod without the fog?" And I'm saying, "Nope, nope."
Nope. That's how it goes.
That's the most question I'm getting. But the responses are usually how they got frightened by certain monsters, and that makes me happy.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm looking at the screenshots of the mod right now, and the nurses with their faces like pushed in. Is that what these are? These are pretty horrific. Yeah, the fog where you can't see very far, and you see like the top of the Siren Head in the distance.
The nurses from Silent Hill are iconically terrifying.
That's super creepy. Yeah, these don't get rid of the fog. The fog is necessary.
Yeah,
I agree.
Yeah,
I agree.
It definitely is, especially I think I most recently played 2 again about maybe a year ago. I think it was like the HD version that they released on the PlayStation 3. And the fog does like you can get a town map or whatever and know where you are. But the fog really does add something in, and especially with how they work with the camera, there is like not knowing what's behind the next corner, I think is the spirit of that. And so it makes sense that it's in the Whispering Hills.
Yeah, feeling like the world is very close to you, like that you're very contained, even though you're out in open space, but everything feels like close and surrounding. That's the feeling that the fog does, that creates. And then you add on top of that the fact that you can hear things beyond what you can see, like you were talking about, and all of a sudden that's very unsettling. This idea that like, and I think it has to do with just us being human. Like we rely so much on our vision in order to orient ourselves in the world and tell us about information around us. And when you take that away or you reduce it, all of a sudden we feel very, very hobbled compared to what we can actually do with our other senses.
I mean, we've all had moments in a horror game where we turn the brightness up more than what they recommend, so you can peek around corners a little.
Yeah. Right. You can see like, oh, that's a shadow, and that's just the darkness of the room. Okay, there's something standing over there. Yeah, for sure.
So probably in recent memory, I guess Silent Hill is now kind of a retro series, just from the age that it is. But more recently, they put out Hideo Kojima put out the PT teaser. Do you think any of that content? Did you get a chance to play that? And do you think any of that content inspires you to make anything within Whispering Hills?
No, I never could play PT because I never owned the PlayStation or an Xbox or wherever it was released. And it was unique, but he dealt with the same principle, like every Silent Hill does, that there's something and you cannot see it. And it turns out, and later pull downs on that PT is that actually there was something always behind you. He placed that woman always behind you. When you turned your camera, sure, you couldn't see her because he was always attached to your back. It was actually that way he achieved that effect, that something was there and whispered and do stuff. He had just attached it to your camera back. So
and you never could see it because it was just always stuck to your back. Yeah.
And that was quite interesting. So it's the same principle, and he just continued that, and we continue that too. Yes.
Bundicott. Bundicott in chat says he wants a random Lisa just appearing in Fallout.
Well, okay. Let me tell you. I just posted a few days ago on my Discord that I also do adult mods, so we can do that. No problem.
Well, there you go. One of the concepts I would love to see in a modded game or even a video game in general is something that is so extremely rare that it creates a like a myth around it. So, for example, like what if there was a purple super mutant in Fallout 4 and only one, and it only spawned in something like 1 out of 100 people's games, but it only spawned in one location, one time and on a very low dice roll kind of thing. So that it was one of those things that like one of us may come across at one time and not thinking anything of it, be like, oh, that's weird. There's a purple one. And then it comes up in conversation. and somebody says, "Oh yeah, why are all the super mutants green?" And then you're just like, "Well, no, there's a purple one." And then everyone's like, "No, there isn't. There's no purple super mutant." And then you're like, "No, I swear I saw one." But then you can't confirm it because it's so absolutely rare. I would love, and this is just a concept that maybe you can run with, the idea of planting something in the game at such a low chance for it to show up that is absolutely horrifying, but only shows up for a very, very small percentage of people, a very small percentage of the time, so that it becomes kind of this like goose chase to see who can actually find it.
Pyramid Preston.
There you go. Pyramid Preston. That's it. That's the solution.
I like that idea. Yes.
I mean, the downside is you put a lot of work into something that only a few people actually see, but it creates a buzz of like, did you know this is in here? And people are like, no, I've never played 20 hours of it. I haven't seen that yet. Oh no, it's in there. You just got to keep looking.
Right. That's. Well, actually, I did something similar because I just messing around with people's heads, and people asked me about that already because. Why they asked me why is there a single green bench in that church of the hell dimension you made, and all the other benches are brown?
Right.
Why? Well. Why not?
Well, because I can't tell you why. Like, little things like there that hint to there being something more, and maybe there is, but it's really hard to find it. And so there's just, because I think that was part of the fun of growing up with the games during the like pre-internet or like early internet era, is that you couldn't just look everything up. It wasn't like somebody could just take a video, or it was like conversations with your friends in the schoolyard or whatever, talking about like, oh, did you know on World 3-2 of Mario, if you jump and hit this block 3 times, it creates a thing and it takes you up to this like hidden world, like that kind of stuff, because it was all word of mouth. But now, I mean, first of all, that's not super rare. It's very easy to find all the things hidden in Mario because you just have to take the time to hit all the blocks, that kind of thing. But you could also just look up a video that shows you how to do it. But what if there wasn't just a simple way to do it? What if it was just a random chance thing, and it only shows up for a few people? So like the one guy who's able to catch it on video and put it up on YouTube might be the only person who ever did it for a long time until somebody else is able to actually do it again. And it becomes like a real cryptid in a game, in that it's very, very rare. But when you do find it, it's like a super special treat.
Yeah, I mean, you can also take it out of the mod with the next update. So it's kind of like, if you want to encounter this one thing, play it now.
Right. You could do that. You could have it only, like, you could create limitations, like it only shows up on Mondays after this time or between these hours, and only when this certain thing happens in this location. Like, make it very, very, very hard to figure out, but yet one of those things that somebody might stumble onto just because they're playing the game. Yeah,
because there's going to be a gamer out there who's going to be like drunk at like 3 o'clock in the morning, who's going to encounter it and then try and get everyone. They're like, "What are you talking about? That doesn't exist."
They're like, "No, look, I saved it right. I saved it right after it happened. It was like, it's on the screen," and then they load it up again, and it's like, no, like the time is clearly different. It doesn't show. Like I swear it was right here.
I'm thinking that this would work. Oh yeah,
that would be awesome.
It would require a bit tinkering. I had something in mind with the weather, a special weather showing up just 1% of the time, something.
Yeah.
Something. Yeah. Okay. I'm thinking about that. Yeah.
It could be, or like a ghost. What if a ghost haunts an individual character in a similar to PT, where you like connect it to the character and they just hear things whispering. And then they're like, yeah, for like the entire time I played that game that night, there was like a ghost haunting me or something, and I couldn't quite figure out where it was. And then other people who played are like, "What are you talking? There's no ghosts in that game."
Someone was reading a banana bread recipe in German, I think.
Right, in German. It was so weird. I kept hearing "du hast." Yeah.
I take it in the opposite direction, where like at like 1% of the time, or like whatever the like most infinitesimal amount of time, it's like everything is great. Like sun comes out.
Yeah. Like Teletubbies start dancing on the screen.
This mod
and
like
singing songs.
Like, and then it only happens for a split second and it goes away. And I feel like that while uncreepy, could be channeled to be very creepy.
Oh yes.
Welcome to Cheery Hills.
Yeah.
Yeah, Cherry.
Yeah, there you go. Oh man.
Cherry Hills. Funny.
Cherry Hills. Well, do you have I feel like we're getting close to wrapping this up. Manga, do you have any other projects that are kind of like on the horizon, things that you would like to work on in the future that you want to tell us about?
Right now, not. I need to limit my time from modding and focus on what's important. I try to focus on one mod now. I had a problem 2 years or 3 years ago that I focused on way too much. I was in 3 different groups. I was in Fallout Miami and Skywind and Sky Oblivion, and I got quite overwhelmed. So I'm not planning 2 projects at the same time, unless some Patreon comes up and gives me some money and say I want that, and then I'm doing that. Okay, but otherwise, no. I'm just focusing on what's right now. That's Whispering Hills.
Sorry, did you say that you worked on those for a little bit? Did you say you
Skywind and some of these other projects?
Yes. I was in the team from them.
Yeah, I met
the
Sky Oblivion guy. I can't remember his name now, but I met him in Boston with Juicehead.
Bizzle? Is that his name?
Oh,
I think so. Yeah, nice guy.
Cool.
Yeah, and Fallout Miami just looks absolutely amazing.
Yeah, I hope they really can pull it through.
I've been to Miami. I don't live in Miami, but I live close to Miami, and I'm going to do a 1-to-1 comparison. No, I'm not, but it'll be cool to go there and be like, oh yeah, this looks like this place. That's cool. These ghouls look like the same people I see vacationing on the beach. They're basically the same.
You just like make a separate podcast where you just talk about all of the inaccuracies and accuracies of Miami.
Right.
That's
It'll be like a 2-episode podcast, limited run, patron only, $100 patrons, the first tier. Yep. Yeah. Totally.
It'll only appear on a Monday at 3 a.m.
Yep.
Only on Monday. And Preston.
I'm gonna make a podcast that's a mod. It's gonna be a mod, and you install it, but it only triggers on like 0.1% of the time that you actually play the game, and then all of a sudden it'll be a radio station, and it'll play. That's gonna be the plan, for sure. Well, awesome. So, Manga, do you have anything else going on that you want to shout out about, or ways that people can get a hold of you, check out your stuff?
Well, you can always join my Discord for early access stuff. That's on every mod page I have on the post section, and that's how you can reach me if you have anything on ideas or monster ideas. I'm always open for any recommendations.
Sammy said also you have a Patreon.
Yes. It's also on the link of every mod page.
Yeah. Just search Whispering Hills mod, and you'll find the mod page, or Vivid Weathers. Any that he's worked on, you'll find the mod page, and you'll find all the links to all this stuff. So, pretty easy. Yeah. Awesome. Well, thank you for joining us. This has been very cool talking about spooky stuff and mods. We all love all of that stuff.
Oh yeah.
And I love that I love that you're working on this stuff, because it really does add to the longevity of these games and the ability for us to, as non-modders, to jump back in and enjoy something a little bit different in a world that we kind of like but is a little bit different now. It's very, very cool, and we do appreciate your work a lot. So if you're out there and you appreciate the work too, then definitely go check out Whispering Hills and the Patreon, because I'm sure Mango would appreciate some support so that he can keep on making these mods and giving us new stuff to do in these games.
Yeah, thank you for having me. It was a pleasure. It's my first interview in years, so it was quite nice again. Yes.
Awesome.
Awesome. Well, guys, I think that does it for this episode of the Fallout Hub. Let's go back through and tell people how they can get a hold of us and anything cool that we're working on. Ken, what do you got going on?
Well, we just dropped our season premiere, Halloween in October Country. It was 2 hours and 26 minutes of a season.
Holy moly!
It was, it's pretty well feature length, and everyone responded really well to that one. It was our take on Ray Bradbury's Something Wicked This Way Comes, and has become my favorite episode. So we just dropped that, and it's not too Halloween-y, so it's still relevant if you want to go listen to it right now.
Awesome, man! I don't know how you do it. That is an amazing amount of work. It was, yeah. As to say, he takes off his hat and it's all just gray hair now. He's like, Dave, what do you got going on?
I just released a survival horror episode of Geography Arcade with some of the people from We Just Love Games talking about Resident Evil. One of the people from that podcast is like a working epidemiologist, and so got to talk to him about zombie outbreaks and what a more relevant topic to talk about in this anxiety-inducing time than what does a viral zombie outbreak look like. It was a lot of fun. I like
very relaxing topic.
It's very relaxing.
Yeah.
It's really interesting, and it's really cool. But I like doing the longer form stuff. So that's going on. I've got Starfield Lorecast going on. We just released the first episode a few weeks ago.
Yeah, Dave and I.
One here soon. I do that with Tom Blair, man of the hour here, over to my right, left, center. Nope, not over to my right. It is on the left side of the screen. I just realized that right now, but that's fine. Directions don't mean anything unless, of course, you are a cartographer, which I am.
Right. But there's some new news. There's some new Starfield news. Yeah, follow him, Dave Chaffins. Yeah. And next week we might be doing a new episode of the Starfield Lorecast. These are going to be kind of random whenever there's new stuff to talk about. But guess what? Todd Howard was interviewed and he was asked questions. So there's new stuff to talk about. So we'll be knocking that out sometime next week. He had a lot to say. That guy can just gab on forever. Awesome. Go check out Dave's stuff.
I'm gonna get a jacket like his and get some more curls, and then I can be like real Todd Howard.
There you go.
And then.
There you go. You should do that. You should do that and then show up at whatever like the next event is that he's at, and we can actually like interact with each other again as human beings, not having to wear masks or whatever, if that ever happens. And you should go up to him and just try to make yourself look as much like him as possible so that when you walk around the convention, people are like, oh, it's Todd Howard. It's Todd Howard. It's Todd Howard.
Okay, but what if now here's a pitch. Now what if I got a duck beak and then wore it over my Todd Howard costume? Then I could just be Todd Howard the duck.
You have a gun. Beat me with an even better idea. You win again. You win. And on that note, what have I got going on? I've got my regular shows: the Fallout Lorecast, the Elder Scrolls Lorecast, the Dungeons and Dragons Lorecast, and the Cyberpunk Lorecast. Cyberpunk got delayed again. Bummer, but we're still talking about that stuff. And over on my Twitch channel, twitch.tv/
that game's coming
freaking
out.
Todd Howard delaying Cyberpunk. But yeah, all of the shows that I do, we record live at twitch.tv/robotsradio in the evenings, like Mondays, Wednesdays, Thursdays, and Sundays are the different days. Just go to the channel, look up, there's a schedule up on the thing. And also the other thing I've been doing is trying to get in better shape. So in the mornings, I raise my desk up and I put a treadmill on the ground and I play games on stream while walking on a treadmill. It is more difficult than you think, especially when you're running around in something like Fallout and like the world is moving a different direction than your feet are walking. At some point I'm going to die and fall down and kill myself. But before that happens, come help me get in better shape. Hang out for my stream and root me on. We've been having a lot of fun with that. So in the mornings, check out Robots Radio on Twitch. I think that's it. That's all we got for this week, friends. Awesome. Until next week. Manga, thank you for joining us again. And thank you. Until next week, hang out, make the world a better place, and don't get lost in Silent Hill or in the fog. If you're in a dark place and there's a deep fog and weird German voices saying "Du Hast" behind you, then go find safety. All right, guys. Talk to you next time. See you later.